Welcome everyone, I hope you're doing well. My name is Simeon, and in this video I'm going to show you the latest additions in Lavina Beta 2.2. The main highlight is we added support for IES lights, and to demonstrate this feature I'm using Arc Exteriors 20 model from the Evermotion website. As you can see, we've imported a bunch of IES lights, and I can walk around through the scene. But I already have a prepared camera, so let's go there. As you can see, the exposure is quite strong, so let's try and lower that. But -5 is still not enough, and if you take a look at the power, it's quite over, well, quite a lot, to be honest. Now, Lavina will read the prescribed power from the IES file, and as you can see, it's targeted to be 2000, so I can switch the modes to read the intensity from the file, which will be 800, or use the rescaled prescribed power, which will be 2000. And this is still quite low, and this is for all of the lights, so I'm going to disable that and just enable this one to focus on that here. Now let's increase the exposure to bring back the interior exposure as we would like. We see the reflections now. And let's try to adjust a couple of things. First, I'm going to show that we can scroll through different presets, but for the time being, I'm going to reduce the denoiser so that we can see the profiles really good. Okay, this one is really nice. So let's use this, the 11. All right, as you can see now, if I increase the denoiser, it takes a little bit of time to clean out the detail, so I'm going to use a lower value for faster feedback. Another thing I wanted to talk about is the sharp shadows under the painting, so let's zoom in on that. And if you take a look, we have a checkbox which is enabled, which says soft shadows, but in order to achieve those, we need to override the shape from the file, and currently it's set to circle. And to drive the softness of the shadows, I can just change the diameter, so you can see the effect. Right, this is pretty low, so let's increase that a bit to say 0.5. And now I have a really nice soft shadow under the painting. One other thing I want to address is that now we've lost the detail from the IES profile, and to bring this back, we can turn off the soft illumination for the diffuse part by doing that, and we still keep the softness of the shadows together with the detail from the profile. Let's change the light color a bit, something more yellowish. And that's a bit too much. Okay. And another thing we've added is also an option for the way the camera orbits around, or which point. It's located under the preferences. As you can see, we have now a pivot point, a pivot type target, and also ray hit. Now, the ray hit would trace a ray from under the cursor and around, or position the orbiting point around this point, for example, here, which has been the surface under the mouse cursor. So this allows you to snap the orbiting location around the surface. It's really great when I want to, for example, focus on this part of the wall or some object that is in front of me. And also the same goes for the zoom. It will position or orient the zooming point exactly at the location of the mouse. Now the alternative would be target, which is an imaginary point in front of the camera. And as you can see, it's not snapped to the surface, but the way to control that would be if I select this object and press the Z button, that would position the camera target at the pivot point, or the center actually, of this selected object. The same thing I can do for this painting, for example. Now the camera target is positioned over there, which provides great control over your orbiting. Now, in addition to the two modes for manipulation, world and local, I'm going to talk about the pivot points. Now, if I wanted to move this painting in world space, it is not aligned towards this wall, and it's not good. But if I switch to local, I can move this along the local coordinate system of the paint, which is easier for me to position. Now we had that, but what we also added is a way to manipulate the pivot point itself. So if you switch to this mode, now moving the gizmo actually translates the pivot point. So let me switch back to the ray hit and zoom in here. And if I wanted to achieve the same effect of rotating the painting from the wall, I needed to change the pivot point to be at the bottom. So yeah, you can see that. So let's do that for the other painting. Make sure I have the pivot point manipulator selected, slightly adjust it, and then rotate the whole painting. Oops. And yeah, that's a bit too much. So yeah, now we have the same effect for the other painting as well. This provides a great way to manipulate scenes even further. Now I'm going to change my point of view to the second camera. Switch to compact mode for all the lights here. And wish you happy rendering. Thank you and take care.